What's up, cyberspace cadets? That's right. It's Sunday, and that means it's time for some ice cream. It's IRATE Prostate here. Hope everybody's doing good and having a great Sunday. It's July the 14th, and you know what day that is? It's Bastille Day, and this celebrates the day that the French people rose up against the monarchy and let a whole bunch of political prisoners out of a prison called the Bastille. And so it's something to think about. I think it's at this point where we're at, it might be poignant even to some degree. But anyway, on with that. It's time for ice cream, folks. You know, that treat we give ourselves once a week. And the idea behind ice cream, of course, I do a cream stream, and I also do these things called whipped creams, sour creams, and heavy creams. And ice cream is my favorite. I don't want to get too much of it, but I'd like to have it at least once a week. And it's usually somebody to me, a real treat is talking to somebody that I'm fascinated with, that I want to know more about. And in this case is no exception. This lady, I've seen her all over YouTube ever since I started, hanging around here. And something that's been consistent with me was her consistency, and that's pretty. I think that's a pretty admirable trait for people to have, to not compromise. And I get that sense from Chambers. Ladies and gentlemen, Chambers of the Heart.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. I'm just chilling out here on a beautiful Sunday afternoon, thinking about I'm not French or anything, but Bastille Day is a great. It's a great symbol.
Yeah. You're not the first person to say that I remain consistent, and let me tell you, it is not easy to do whatsoever. I'm not perfect at it, but it's not. It's gotten me into some really nasty situations, but in the long run, people have seen how I truly operate for the most part, and to me that is a good thing. I don't claim to be an example of anything or try to lead anybody, but the fact that people see me as consistent is actually very good, and it's actually very humbling too, because what I'm consistent for in regards to my behavior, what I stand for, how I operate, so it's that's really cool to hear again.
Nifty. Well, usually the way I open this thing up is I ask a couple of things. It's kind of icebreaker-ish. And then the questions kind of narrow down a little bit, and then we'll wrap up and talk some more about content and things. But the first question I always ask everybody is what brought you to YouTube, and and expressing yourself in this form of media.
My very first year on YouTube was 2011, and what brought me onto YouTube was trying to reach out at first, as I was with a different community for a number of years. I just tried to reach out and meet new people, because the place I was living at the time really kind of made me antisocial, or kind of put me in a loner state to where there wasn't a whole lot of people around. I was technically living in what they would call the boondocks area, to where the next neighbor was a few miles down the road. There was threats of wildlife. So I reached out to get more involved with people, because I couldn't physically do that where I was living. And it just went from there.
Interesting. So what about, tell me about your avatar and your name and how that came about.
Okay, so I've gone through quite a few different avatars. The Chambers of My Heart is a idea that's continuously unfolding, and I would like to think it's kind of an expression of my life, if you will. It started off with one door, and that was the Hidden Chambers, and that was created a month before my sister died, so I think that's more than a convenience. And then for a few months after that, I got an idea for a second door, and my second channel was titled Hidden Chambers. And I started to get more ideas for these doors, and there's a total of 5 of them, and it's just I can't call myself Hidden Chambers anymore. So I came up with the concept of the Chambers of My Heart. Pretty much What it expresses is people have different rooms in their heart or whatnot, and all of them lead to a final room. The idea itself is still fleshing out, and yes, I have updated my logo once again. So this particular logo, I have a door called Forbidden Chambers. As the name implies, these are things that I either consider to be forbidden parts of myself. I don't think they're good parts, or they're stuff that I don't know what would happen if I were to go and touch certain parts, if that makes sense. And so on the Forbidden Chambers, there's an eye. The concept of this eye is nothing is allowed to leave and nothing's allowed to come in. So therefore, the eye on the logo. Now, when it comes to the 4 hearts, it represents the 4 chambers, hidden, sealed, forbidden, and forgotten. The spears themselves, there's 2 spears. There's the white spear and there's the black spear. Well, a few years back, interesting enough, when I have dreams, a lot of them are symbolic. So the white spade literally was in a dream, and I've been trying to flesh out the symbolism and try to look into it more as the years go on. And in a sense, I know this sounds a little bit crazy, but I think the white spear has something to do with my dad. A lot of my the way that I operate is something I've learned from my father. To be consistent, to stand for yourself, to do so properly, which I don't always do so. So the white spear, when I was growing up, and I don't want to get too personal, but when I was growing up, I tried to stick more to my father's image because of who my biological mother was. So the white spear comes from that, and there's more to it. To be honest, I don't know the full meaning of the chambers of my heart. I got an idea for the last door a few years ago, the final chamber, which its doors is made of stained glass. Stained glass is very fragile. You drop glass, you punch it in the wrong way, it shatters. So that's the white spear. Now, when it comes to the black spear is a manifestation of what happens when the white spear or the white spade becomes twisted and darkened. And so the black spear to me represents like all the stuff that's kind of fighting back, trying to come out, but I don't want it to come out. So again, as the saying goes, light, dark, nothing gets in, nothing gets out. So it's kind of this battle between 2, I guess, expressions, if you will, and it's kind of an oxymoron because one is trying to get out, one is trying to keep other stuff in. So I deal very heavily in symbolism, so hopefully that makes sense. But I go through different.
Yeah, it's kind of mandala-esque. Have you ever read any Carl Jung? Because he talks about this type of symbolism being archetypes and dreams, and more representing our aspects of ourselves and things. It's pretty cool. But yeah, I think that's a fantastic, because when I saw your avatar, when you popped it over to me, I said, there's got to be a really good story behind this, and you did not disappoint.
Yeah, like I said, the Chambers of My Heart it's been slowly unfolding, and it's not just a YouTube theme, it's not just a graphic thing that I have. But and I'll get anybody who's been around my channel, I've talked about how I am a survivor of sexual abuse, rape. So there's a saying that comes with that, either that breaks your world or that shapes it. And in my case, it shaped mine. So from what I've been able to flesh out thus far with my chambers, is that when it shapes your world, like if it happens at a young age, that door, which is the final chamber, gets completely sealed off, and in order to protect it, it has all these other doors that remain closed. So in order to get to the final chamber, these other doors have to be open and cleaned out, and that's what the 4 jewels represents, is in order to get the final chamber to open, you have to get the jewel from each room. So I played a lot of Zelda growing up. I love Kingdom Hearts, so that also ties into the inspiration, because there's a lot of concepts I love from both games. And so yeah, I've actually had some people tell me, oh, well, you look like, this looks like it's stuff from Kingdom Hearts. I actually had a friend tell me, you need to make sure that you cannot be hit with copyright from Kingdom Hearts, because some of your stuff looks similar to theirs, and I went and made sure and checked quite a few times, and there's nothing Disney or Square Enix can peg me on. So it's just oh crap. So. A food that I ate, let's see, I wasn't very much a picky child growing up. I'm trying to see. The only food that I can think of that I had an issue with that I have not touched is sauerkraut. And my mom used to make, I don't know if you would call them rolls. I don't know, but they'd be wrapped and they'd be coupled with other stuff. And I've not had this particular sauerkraut. I haven't had sauerkraut in general for a very long time, so I do not know if I would like it. But I know that when I was younger, I wasn't particularly a fan of it, so to speak. It tasted really funny, and it was sour in all the wrong ways. So. I would say so, particularly because, I mean, I've watched that man, like, fall several times, but just somehow managed to pick himself back up. And I come from a Christian family. He's very much a God-filled man. And I was just on the phone with him today, and there's some stuff that he's having to deal with that he really doesn't want to, but it's kind of the path he feels like he's being led down. I don't know how to explain it, because I've said this before. When I was really young, and I don't know how, I don't know when, call me old-fashioned if you will, but when I was younger, there was just something I kind of saw in him, call it like a cogwheel, whatever, that it's just so like this is pretty cool, and we've bumped heads in the past, but we can talk to each other. I can't talk to any other family member like I can him. I've been told that I sound like him, that I'm very much my father's daughter. So yeah, in a lot of ways, I just have a lot of respect for him.
I'm not doing anything to mute it. That's so weird. It'll be a stop it.
Yeah.
It's strange.
To be honest, because again, I don't want to say like poor me. I'm not looking for sympathy or victim card. None of that bullshit. Mm-hmm. For me, growing up, I was very socially awkward because of certain stuff that wasn't dealt with properly. And again, I don't want to go into personal details of my family dynamic. It was a challenge. It wasn't always bad. But at the same time, it wasn't easy either because of what my family had to deal with. So for me, there was a lot of stuff I kind of had to close off and kind of tuck away because I felt like other people couldn't deal with it at the time, considering what was going on. So I was very distant growing up, but at the same time, I would go out of my way to do things for my family. One of the things, like when I had a lot of money, to show like my affection, I would see if I could get my family exactly what they wanted. Whether it be electronics, and if I could afford it, I would spend money on it. I was not very good at showing my affection back then. Still, in many ways, not, but getting gifts that they wanted was like a big part of what I could do, so I did it.
Am I correct in remembering something about Asperger's?
Yeah, I'm high functioning.
Mm-hmm. Well, my wife was just finally diagnosed with Asperger's. Similar situation. So, did you touch on that if you would?
So, when I was still living with my parents, I won't say in what state, but I was told to go get diagnosed at a mental health facility. And so, funny enough, is in my birth state, I was already in their system, which kind of weirded me out, and I had been properly diagnosed with anxiety. Now, when I went to go get diagnosed for Asperger's autism, the lady, and this is true enough because like my aunt and uncle had to deal with this with their boy, is she gave me what's called an indirect diagnosis, meaning she put in their system that I had issues when it came to change of environment or change of circumstance. And I asked her, like, well, why did you do that? And she explained to me that a lot of insurance companies don't want to deal with people who have Asperger's or autism because depending on the spectrum, whether you're high or low, that takes a lot of money. I'll give an example. I have an aunt uncle that's Air Force. Well, my uncle's Air Force, and they have one of my nephews is autistic, and he was properly diagnosed. And from what my aunt told me, is they had to fight the what was it? What's the name for the vet medical insurance?
TRICARE.
I think that's what it is. I don't know, but they had to fight not only the insurance company, but they had to fight whatever program they were under, because when they got their insurance benefits, they found out the one that got diagnosed with Asperger's was not on it, and because he had Asperger's, the insurance company didn't want to spend the extra money, if you will.
That's strange. It doesn't make sense. That they can. I guess since the ACA though, they can't. They can't like do that pre-existing condition thing. I don't know. It sounds like they've got some kind of goofy ass loophole they're using to, doesn't.
Well, here's the saying about medical insurance, and this much is true. They will, if you're someone who is perfectly healthy and just needs to see the doctor every once in a while, they won't be a pain in the ass. But if you're someone who requires constant medical service and needs constant coverage, they will go out of their way to screw you over. Like I got a job offer, and this happened twice. I refuse to work for any company that deals with medical insurance because, like, the first time I tried to go for this one specific job, they gave like a list of stuff I had to memorize, and I looked at it, and I'm like, you know what? I don't feel comfortable screwing people in their medical insurance. I really don't. That's not a job I can do. So
yeah.
No.
I worked on the other end of that, and it got to the point where insurance was dictating what we did daily with people. It was bullshit. Yeah,
Yeah.
they've changed the face of psychiatric treatment for not for the better, in my opinion. But then,
No.
So, all right. So, what about Christmas? Do you have a favorite Christmas special or Christmas carol that always kind of gives you that warm, fuzzy feeling, that that comfort feeling?
There's two, and holidays. The holidays now for me are just kind of feel different. Again, I'm not trying to sound depressing, but had a family situation happen a few years back, and it kind of messed up the holidays for me. So there's two songs. One is called Christmas Shoes because it was a favorite Christmas song of my family. If you guys never heard of Christmas Shoes, the context pretty much is in some of the movie where there's this family, the mom has a type of heart condition. It's about two families. First family, mom has a heart condition, and she is on the registry list for a heart transplant, and it's getting down to the wire, and her condition's getting worse and worse and worse. Second family is about a father, daughter, and mother, and the father is just kind of too wrapped up in work, always missing his daughter's plays. It's kind of a cliche type thing, too overworked to spend time with family. Well, as the movie goes on, the mom for the first family cannot find a heart transplant or whatnot, and it's nearing around Christmas time. So the son, her little boy, is like 10 to 11 years old, wants to get his mom a gift. But he doesn't have any money, so he goes around doing all these work, collecting cans, all that stuff. So finally, when it comes time for him to buy like his mom's present, which is a pair of red shoes, the guy from the second family, the overworked father, he's in the same store behind the kid, and as the scenario unfolds, he's literally standing right behind the little boy. And the little boy doesn't have enough money for these shoes. And so the guy puts the rest of the money on the table, and the kid scrams off. And as the song goes on, yeah. Ooh, sorry, allergies.
Oh, bless you.
Anyway, as the song goes on, it's just like
She's
I knew
a
I caught
courteous muter, people. Go ahead. I'm sorry I interrupted. Please keep on.
Caught a glimpse of heaven's love. So this is a song that my family really loved to listen to, and it's because the way that my family is right now, it's kind of hard for me to listen to. And then I have a second one. It's called Joseph's Lullaby. This one was introduced. Oh my God, when was this one introduced? I want to say the early 2000s, and I have not heard it on the radio for the longest time. It's pretty much the perspective of Joseph while baby Jesus is sleeping, and he already knows what's going to unfold, and he just just for tonight, I just want him to be my son. I want things to be normal, and it's a really beautiful song, and those are like my only two that I really like. And then there's another one. It's kind of a close third. It's All I Want for Christmas by Stephen Curtis Chapman. So, and it talks about an orphan writing to Santa Claus how he wants to have a family.
Oh, that's cool. So those are all really heartwarming songs. Getting up in them fifis and stuff. Yeah.
I don't like a lot of the Santa Claus stuff and like the cheese ones. I mean, there's some fun songs, but it's like,
I totally get that, the sentimental, because it's all about family, when you get down to the, and then the real meaning behind it is religious in nature. But, it's been all commercialized and, secularized to a point of where I don't know. But when I ask people one-on-one, they always have a personal, anecdote about their relationship with that holiday, and I haven't heard a negative one yet, really. I like I like that feeling. I like the feeling that I got from what you just said.
Technically speaking, it was a pagan holiday, which was the winter solstice, but the Catholics in Europe converted it to a Christian holiday to try to convert more people. But what
they had a habit of doing that,
Oh yeah,
that's why voodoo exists. When they went to Africa, they took a lot of these African deities and tried to. There's like these fusions of saints and stuff. It's strange. It'll creep you out if you're not familiar with it.
It goes back and forth. You have Christian holidays that were turned secular, like St. Patrick's Day. Instead of the 4-leaf clover, it was 3, and it was blue. So it's kind of interesting.
See, I love trivia like that, man. People I'm infamous for knowing a lot of stuff that only applies in certain situations. A lot of I don't think it's useless information, but it is information. So all right, here's a good question. If you could go back in time and talk to a young Chambers at the age of 8, what would you tell her?
Age of 8. Honestly, I'm not entirely sure, because my mindset back then was just different. If I were to try to explain things from my language and the way that I can talk about things now, I don't think my younger self would understand. Especially at the age of 8. Over these past few years, I have just been able to talk about certain things more clearly and express myself better. So I'm not sure if I would be able to effectively tell my younger self much of anything and have them understand what I was saying.
Okay, well, so and this is another question that's interesting. What was the moment that you realized you weren't a child anymore? Is there anything that sticks out?
Um, I think it kind of really hit me when I went to Job Corps. That's a trade school run by the Department of Labor, and it's supposed to help you get a certificate and training in certain job fields. Well, my location kind of screwed me over, and like the first few days I had stepped in the door, I realized that I had put my foot down right away, and it's like if I don't fight tooth and nail, like if I don't stand my ground, I will get screwed over. Perfect example, with this particular location, and I don't know if it's the same for all job corps. If you already have your high school diploma with some college, you're supposed to turn in your high school transcript. And because I already had a quarter of college in a different state, that was the last location for my high school transcript. So I walk in and I had my chosen trade, get ready to start it, and I see a schedule change saying that I need to attend GED classes. And I'm going, what the hell is this? So I get sent to the lady who deals with the GED part, and I'm going like, excuse me, I've already completed high school. My GPA was this. I've had a quarter of college here. Why are you sticking me in GED classes? I don't need it. You're gonna waste my time. And she goes, well, I don't have your transcript yet. I'm like, no, we're not doing that. If I need to get on the phone with my past college, I will, but you're not going to waste my time. You're not going to waste the teacher's time of the GED classes. You are going to put me back in my trade. She didn't argue with me. I got put back. I got a schedule change that very day, and I'm cool. I'm like, oh no. So from that day, I kind of learned, like, you know what? I need to actually put my foot down more, be firm, and it actually kind of served me well, because that's where I met my husband, and we pretty much had to do the same thing, just kind of fighting to stay together because they try to separate us. And yeah, so I kind of learned, like, stand my ground, do it properly, can't screw around anymore.
And we're going to come back to relationships and stuff in a second, but I wanted
Okay.
to get a couple things. So what was your high school? I guess you kind of just told me. Um, so do you plan on going to any reunions or anything?
Um, Not really. I went to 5 to 6 different high schools. My family moved around a lot. High school for me was just kind of meh. It wasn't a normal experience as you hear about prom and sports, and I was pretty much a loner growing up in high school, and I focused more on my studies than anything else. So like I said, I didn't have the normal experiences everybody else would talk about. From what I understood of it, because a lot of people said, well, you're supposed to find yourself as a teenager in high school. And it's like, I don't understand how, when you're bogged down with a bunch of uh, just useless crap. Um, Whether that's passing a state test or creating those stupid job portfolios, or those things were so. I still have mine from my last high school that I graduated from, but again, useless crap. I'm not going to do anything with it. I guess it was practice on how to create a portfolio, or a resume, but even that proves to be useless because depending on the job, you have to format your resumes differently. Yeah. So on top of moving, and yeah.
All right. So, all right. What about entertainment? When you kick it, what do you like to entertain yourself with? And that kind of applies to any kind of medium, whether it be like film or television or books or whatever, painting, whatever.
Okay. I haven't read a book in a while, but the series that I started to read and I had to go through and start gathering the books, it's nicknamed the Bloody Jack series. It's not a horror thing. It's pretty much about an orphan girl who pretty much had to find her way in the world or whatnot, and her first like adventure whatnot is disguising herself as a boy and becoming like part of a ship crew, and going from there and getting to all sorts of different situations. And it was a fun read. I have not finished it because again I moved around, and most of the books that I've not read, and they're in a different location, so I don't have access to them right now. In regards to TV shows, I don't watch a lot of them because, like, especially what's going on with the media, so I don't have really too much of a keen interest. But I will say that my husband has started to introduce me to the Flash. Just started watching the Arrow.
Oh, wow,
Need to
okay.
catch up on Gotham. Prison Break. Archer is funny. That can
Mm-hmm.
get a bit rough at times. Rick and Morty is pretty funny again, but there's some episodes that I'll have my husband skip over, or it's just because some of them just go to like a little too far. Yeah, I know. There's one he told me about. It's like, you're not gonna want to watch this one. Okay, give me the subplot, and he goes, "Yeah, this is what happens." I'm like, "Yeah, I don't want to watch that." So,
Well,
I do like.
go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
Go ahead. No.
I do like some anime. I don't draw anime or whatnot, but I like shows like Dragon Ball Z, Naruto, One Piece. Need to really catch up on that one. I like the Ghibli films. A little bit of Satoshi Kon. He has one. Actually, he has two of them that I've seen that I really like. One is the Millennium Actress. I believe it's called the Millennium Actress, and then the other one is Tokyo Godfathers. So
Hmm.
I do like some anime. And then as for music, I really don't have a genre. I listen to all kinds of things, whether it be video game inspired, a little bit of Crypteria, some Christian music. I'm not so much big on the Christian music anymore because it's just a lot of it's obnoxious in my opinion. So
I would just settle for shitty, but right. Uh, I, I, I see what you're saying.
yeah.
I like that you're frank. So yeah. So what was dating like? Okay, tell us a story about because I know you got married. I know you have a husband, and so I kind of want to hear your experience, and then how you guys met and what happened after that.
Well, when it came to like dating and job corps, it was again not your traditional dating, and we kind of had to fight to stay together. So the first guy I liked at Job Corps, he was very much well liked by other people, and so we started to hang out more, and I really liked him a lot. And I as I've said on my channel, I believe in God. Comes from a Christian family. But with the first guy, we didn't do anything or anything like that. I kind of felt like God told me no, and there was one situation where we were riding in a van, and literally we had six other people in there, and there was three other girls, three other guys. All of them, I swear to God, were making out. Just all of them were making out. Me and James kind of looked at each other, and I just kind of got like this gut feeling. It's just like, no. And so I kind of sat there pissed. It's like, I don't get it. This is really freaking frustrating, and it was so awkward. So because I already have an ex, and I kind of like pushed past what my gut feeling was. I'm like, what, we're not going to do this again. I don't feel this is right. I do not feel like you're the guy for me. So I didn't pursue it, and he became really weird. So how I met my husband, there's a particular group at Job Corps, they play D&D. And at first I felt kind of bad because I kept getting him mixed up with another guy because they looked kind of similar, and I wasn't really hanging out with him at the time. So we started to get to know each other a bit more because he started wanting to hang around me. We started talking, and both of us had just started to feel like we were supposed to be together. Like, I'll give you an example, and this was like the weirdest thing, is because he was telling me some personal stuff about himself, and then I had like a dream, like, hey, he's gonna talk to you about this. Next day we went out, sure enough, he talked to me about the exact situation I got mentioned in my dream, and so it kind of went from there. We knew we wanted a real relationship. We didn't want to fuck around, we didn't want a fuck buddy, excuse the phrasing, but we just kind of had to fight for it because of the city it was in. A lot of people, the first guy I liked was black. So a lot of people thought I was racist because I told him no. So, because I spoke with the first guy about the situation, why it became so difficult, him and his friend were in on our freaking ordeal of why we had to fight so hard. Because I came out of a different state to come to this particular location of job for.
Can I ask a question? What part of the country did you grow up in, if you can be general?
West Coast.
Okay. All right. Thanks. That helps me get a better picture because your accent is you've shaved it off enough to where I can't fit you. My brain wants to say Midwest, but that's not what I'm hearing. It's California.
Yeah.
Ish.
I think what I
ish. Out west. It's westish. I'm sorry. I don't know if you're from California or whatever.
No, you're fine. I've had a couple people tell me I have an accent. It's like, I don't have an accent.
Right. I don't hear it either. That was what got me like, what the fuck? Asking a question. All right. So, it's interesting because Uzi and I knew that she was the one. And I'm a little older than she is, so it's like, and as we got older, we talked to each other, and she said she knew it too. And I think that's just a thing. I think that, people can call it predestination. They can call it whatever they want to, God's will. I've called it that myself, but I think that when the person's in front of you, you know it on a gut level, and then through talking to them, you're like, oh, okay, it just, everything feels right. I can't,
yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Because I felt there was some kind of kindred parallel here, and I'm hearing it. So what about kids? What do you guys think? How long have y'all been married? I don't even know that, so I'll start there.
I've been married close to 6 years. So when it comes to kids, I mean, personally speaking, I don't hate them. I really don't.
Mm-hmm.
But for like variety of reasons, I don't want them. I actually don't think I can physically have them due to certain factors or whatnot. But just with the way that society is going, like, I don't want to go into too personal reasons, that's why, but just like for the other side, just what's been going on in Canada is kind of creeping down here, and certain things are considered child abuse when they're not. And it's just like, because my sister, I spoke with my sister the other day. We were talking about some stuff, and she goes, I've seen you mention the past on your Facebook that you don't want kids.
Right.
And I told her, like, oh, right, this may be a little bit too blunt, but it's just like, if I had a kid and I had somebody come to my front door knocking, saying, we're going to take your kids away because you're not validating their delusions of them being a trans kid, I told her, like, someone's head is literally going to go on a pike. I will literally kill somebody. Because, like, I don't want to deal with that. I'm seeing where the tide is going, and I don't think so. It's not something no, we're not even going to touch that. So, and if anything, if God willing, just kind of fight for the kids that are already here.
Yeah. I just wanted to get your take on that because I didn't know if y'all had any kids or anything with the. Once again, there's a parallel there too. So with Uzi and I.
Yeah.
All right. You touched lightly on anime series. So if you had to pin it down, who would you say your favorite anime series is and favorite character?
Uh, I think so far it's kind of a toss-up between Dragon Ball Z and One Piece, because both of them, for when it comes to One Piece particularly, I'm more familiar with it. I've grown up with it a little bit when it was on 4Kids, the evil 4Kids version. I later discovered the actual version uncut, which is just way better. When it comes to One Piece, there's actually a lot of tear-jerking moments that I have never expected to come out of an anime. And it's just like, holy cow, because when I first started watching it, I thought it looked really dumb. It was like one of the goofiest things I've ever seen. I'm like, I cannot take this seriously. A guy who stretches himself and like screams and gets like overexcited and just like sometimes puts his crew in unnecessary trouble. So, but as I started to watch it more, I'm like, wow. And then me and my husband started to binge it for a while. And like, spoiler alerts, one of the scenes that really just kind of hit me right in the gut is when Luffy is at, it's not Impel Down, it's when he's with one of the old pirate warlords, Jimby from Fishman Island, and they're fighting with Crocodile, one of Dragon's right-hand generals, freaking a few others, and they're trying to bust out of prison, and they're trying to get Ace, and Whitebeard's on the scene, and there's this big commotion. Well, I believe his name is Akanu or whatnot, the one who has like the devil fruit for volcano, molten lava. So he comes in trying to smash Luffy, like get ready to pretty much melt him, and Ace jumps in the way, and Akanu's fist goes right through Ace. And so just like that scene of Luffy holding his brother while he dies, just like that shock of like, what the fuck just happened? Oh my god, that was just, I sat there going like, I want to cry, and I literally did. Because it kind of hits you on a personal level, and just because I lost a sibling, granted I wasn't there when she passed, but I'm just going like, oh my god, so I just, and one of my favorite characters out of the One Piece series again is Jimby. Jimby is in he's in the Fishman Island arc, and then he's in the arc where they're busting Ace out or attempting to, and just for me, he's a really good character. He's really well done. He's very wise, very soft spoken, but he's also very scary when you piss him off and you start messing with things you shouldn't. So I don't know. I like him.
It actually sounds cool. Some of this stuff I have never heard of, to be honest. You know, but now we're getting into the kind of the content part of the of the questioning. Um, when I first came on here, you touched lightly on the trans kids thing. I was really focused on queer kid stuff, and I ran into the Heart Progress asshats.
Yeah.
Yeah, you dealt with those guys, didn't you?
Um, I did to an extent, but I was not part of the stings. It was just something I could not handle emotionally or mentally, and I've been told people I'm not going that far because it'll literally screw with me on levels that I don't want to even acknowledge because of my own past, and it's just like, yeah, I refuse to be part of those things.
Right.
No, that was a little too far.
Yeah. And then there was the Dad of Five thing. Did you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so like I've mentioned it, and I use it as a reference as to why I'm more careful about situations taking one side over the other. So when it came to the DO5 stuff, you guys all know Heather and Martin abusing their kids for money and clicks, which they're now doing to their three boys. Which, oh my God, I don't think there's anything else that can be done with that. Um, because of technicalities and the loophole Martin found with YouTube's channel's ownership, and oh my god. Anyway, so when it came to the Daddy-O5 stuff, I met Rose and we kind of hit it off from there, and you guys pretty much know what happened. And the stuff with Joy that lasted for a year, Turns out Rose. Well, here's the thing.
Man.
That didn't have to happen. That did not have to happen at all.
Right.
That entire shitstorm was because of the mother. Because the freaking double talk. I have the Google Drive. Me and Joy finally sat down. After talking to each other in Geek Zulu's old server, one of his old servers. Because anytime me and her were in the same room, chat room, it was World War III. It was not pretty to be live streamed. So finally, she had kind of quoted me from a live stream from when the Kumite was still around. It was the first Kumite I had with her, with me, Base Mama, her, and Geek Zulu. And she had quoted me and brought back what I had said, because she goes, well, remember how you said if I presented you evidence of what happened, you would sit down and look at it? I'm like, yeah, I would. And so when we did that, turns out Rose was telling different stories. She'd run to me and tell me that Joy was bothering her, and then she'd run to Joy and blame me for everything fucking. And we have the text messages. So Joy thought I was in on this for a full year, and I didn't get what her anger was about until we finally sat down, and I'm looking at the text messages. It's just like, what the fuck is all this? I've never seen these before. And she goes, you don't know what any of these are? No, I've never seen these. So the more, because I gave her like all my text messages, like, here. I was so freaking pissed. I'm like, this did not need to happen over the past year. None of this stuff needed to freaking happen.
So she was using the divide and conquer method to manipulate you guys and use each other against.
She thought by having us to fight would bring more money to her GoFundMe, and it's like, it did the opposite. It froze it, because people were passing rumors that I was stealing money from the GoFundMe. Because around that time I also had a car breakdown, and my husband had a job where he needed to update his computer, and it was such a mess. But it taught me a very hard lesson, because I was used to destroy somebody. And now when I look at situations, I look at both sides. Like with the Vic Manana stuff, I was kind of neutral when it first started, because I had a friend bringing me all this stuff. And so I was looking through, it's like, well, is there like some evidence of this, police reports, something? Well, turns out there was no evidence to be had, and there's still no evidence to be had, and there's more coming out that Vic's so-called friends went out of their way to backstab him and sabotage his jobs that he had. So, and people have gotten on to me, like, I've been told to my face, whether it be DMs, Discord, Twitter, oh, well, we don't want you digging into the bullshit on our side because it makes us look bad. And it's like, that. Well, that's too freaking bad. I do both sides now. I play it fair. I don't care about which side looks. The truth is never pretty. It's always messy. So I don't give a shit what you want to look like. Don't do bullshit.
Do you think Nick Mercado's covering this fairly?
He does a lot of shit talking. I do enjoy
on Twitter, he does, doesn't he?
Yeah. It's all part of the show, though. I do know that's a lot of it is what you call showmanship and being entertaining, things like that. A lot of people like all that smack talk. So far, because he has made a lot of predictions or whatnot, or he has hinted at a lot of stuff, and so far, it has come to pass. Like I'll give an example. So what was worrying at first is when a bunch of lawyers started to jump on the Vic Manana case and passing around, from what I understand here, my specific Google Drive folder that I had gathered up all the court docs in, because I was tired of trying to dig for them everywhere. So I'm like, here, guys, I just made a folder, and I'll update it as more court docs come out. So one particular lawyer, his name is, this is his last name, and this is not me mocking everything, Greg Doucette, Doucette. So, yeah. So he has been a loud, how should I say this, kick Vic or protester of the Vic Manana stuff, and what he's gone and done is he has purposely taken little clips from these court docs, and he has presented them and misrepresent them in a kind of a bad, like there's a screenshot of a tweet going around right now saying how he was quoted saying, oh, well, Nick isn't going to show Vic's deposition because it's damaging to the case. Nick Rakita has been showing
Yeah.
Vic's deposition, and
He's,
it's video recorded.
I was going to
But
say he's been actually alternating between depositions between he and Toye. And I think he had part 2 last night. I haven't watched all of it yet.
I meant to watch it, but I passed out. I was so tired from my trip I
There's
just got
so
back
much
from.
content. It's just ridiculous.
Oh,
You
yeah,
know?
yeah, it is, and it just the fact that they videotaped it and it's not just this transcript, I think is wonderful because it really shows. Like, if you look at Vic and his attitude, the way he's postured and positioned, it's just like, okay, I'm gonna sit here and answer questions, but you guys don't have anything on me. And I'm not saying Vic is being cocky, but like, I'll give you an example. The part I was watching part 1 a few days ago, and like Lemoyne, the lawyer that was deposing him, was trying to find some sort of way to either guilt trip Vic or trap him. Like, I'll give you an example. One of the questions he asked Vic was, do you think it's inappropriate for a 50-year-old grown man to kiss a teenage girl or a minor girl? Do you think would you agree if it's creepy? And Vic is like, well, no, not unless it's without her consent. And he tried to twist it and just twist that question and trap him to make him look like a creep. And then I believe it was either in further part 1 or a little bit into part 2, where Lemoyne goes, "Oh well, you're trying to sue women into the dirt," and he sounds really pissed. So I'm really glad they videotaped it, because not only do you see Vic's how he's presenting himself, and which is confident, he knows they don't got anything on him, and then you hear Lemoyne's voice, which it's constantly getting exasperated, like with the GoFundMe. Lemoyne tried to trap Vic with the GoFundMe questions, and Vic kept repeating himself. He stuck to his gun, saying, "I had nothing to do
He
with
didn't.
the GoFundMe."
Yeah.
Yeah, and like one particular question is when Lemoyne is quoting a tweet that Vic put out, pretty much Vic saying he's very grateful for the help. A friend suggested the GoFundMe. I approved, blah, 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 blah. And Lemoyne tried to trap him, saying, well, you just told me that you didn't approve of the GoFundMe, but Nick told you he was doing it anyway, and you gave it your blessing. And so it's like, I know what Vic was saying in that tweet, but Lemoyne was trying to twist it differently. It's like, this guy is such a bitch. Yeah. Like, excuse the phrasing, but it just like, that's all I get. And I'm going, you know what? Oh, and Vic stuck to his guns, going saying, I had nothing to do with it. And it's just like, you know what? Oh, I've only seen snippets of both parts of the depot, and they don't have anything on Vic, and Vic knows it. I mean, pretty much at this point, everyone knows it. You have emails floating around how Monaco Real had a hand in Vic's termination at Rooster Teeth. And so more and more of this stuff is coming out, and it's disgusting. It really, really is. And you have Paul, you have Greg Doucette, and you have some of these other lawyers who's like, well, Vic is in the wrong. He should have just not sued. Like Mars Girl. Mars Girl was caught flopping her mouth the other day saying, oh, well, if Vic just apologized one more time and then went and sought help, he could have made a comeback in a few years. It's like, that's not how this works. And you started this shit. You were the main linchpin for it. Right. Shut up. You're next on the round of suit. I hope. Oh, I hope she gets smacked with something. Freaking anyway.
Yeah, and the whole thing about tortious interference, with the contracts and things, man. People have to be really careful about how they impugn other people, man. I mean, and in this whole Vic thing, it doesn't look right to me at all. There's something fucked up about it. I'm not sure exactly what that is, but as this thing's been unfolding, it seems to me more like that it's a railroad job, because this dude is very popular, and he's a Christian, right? And he's very proud of being a born again, not Orthodox, a conservative Christian, right? And I think that a lot of people, resent that. Today, the state religion is science, in my opinion. I don't know. I think people get they see people live their lives, and they think, well, that person's thinks they're better than me, and it's bullshit, man. He's probably was just just loving life. My God, if I
Yeah,
could,
and here,
have you ever seen his
yeah.
Captain Kirk work? The
I've seen bits and pieces of it, and
he's not
I know
bad.
that's one of the things that gets trashed. Something to do because I've talked about this, and I've told people his love life is none of my business, but I do believe it has a strong tie into what's going on, because you have Rayal that's made accusations against him.
Mm,
You have Marky. I think here's my hypothesis, and I think this is why Ron has been one of the main reasons Ron has been flapping his gums. Again, this is nothing to Vic. This is, I think, because Vic has talked about his struggle or whatnot, and he's very much nicknamed a ladies' man, or a hound dog, if you will. I think what's going to come out is that Rayal and Marky and some of these others had intimate dealings with Vic or whatnot, and they regret
mm,
it now, and so they're trying to spin it as something else. And when Mars Girl launched that hashtag, they went and they clung to it, saying, "Oh yeah, he did this to me," blah 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 blah. And I think that's why Ron is really, really flapping his gums, or has been, because either they were dating when this stuff happened between Vic and Rayal. Again, don't quote me on this, but this is just the feeling that I'm getting, because like you have women claiming sexual allegations against a voice actor who is known to be very affectionate with his fans and very much a ladies' man. So I think people did stuff and now regret it and have tried to twist it. We've seen this happen time and time again, with the Me Too movement, how it turns out
mm.
they regretted it and they try to scream rape or
Yeah,
something else.
I was about to bring
So,
that up. The Me Too movement.
oh yeah,
Um,
and I think that's very much what it is. Um, I mean, and it's disgusting. I'm not backing what Vic did. Again, it's none of my business. I'm not even going to touch it. The 9 foot plus, and he should have did this and that. But I do think that there has been a collaborative effort, and it's been shown. We found the spiderweb between Mars Girl, Beth Elderkin, Samantha L. Hart. All have ties to either Rooster Teeth or Channel Awesome. They're connected with each other. We have now it's been proven. You have Royale who tried to drag her own friend, like name him, and he didn't even know, and he disagrees with the story. He goes, "No, that's not how it happened." And then you have another person in that plant who is speaking on behalf of his girlfriend's friend, the Orion Envy Dancers. So he wrote that crappy Tumblr story, and I found out he tried to name source one of the old staff members of BayouCon, which is now defunct, Justin Toy, I think, Justin Toyo, or it's a weird last name. But he tried to cite Justin as a source. Now, when I went and reached out to Justin on Facebook DMs, he didn't know about the affidavit. He asked for a citation, like, here's a snapshot of what Emmett posted. He went to Emmett when I was talking with him, and later said, "I'm not going to comment on this. I'm not going to confirm or deny anything. You have a good night." And I'm like, and I asked, "You're not going to say anything, even though it could possibly drag you to court because you were named as a source? And I don't know if you're on the affidavit itself." So Emmett comes back later on Twitter and starts getting on to me. It's like, well, if it was Chambers' intent to silence my friend into silence, or intimidate him to silence, uh, it worked like a charm. I'm like, dude, your friend didn't even know that you were naming him, and he probably went to you to inquire you about it. So yeah, no, you have the Kick Vic side, these loud voices trying to pull in their friends, and the friends are like, either they don't know anything about it, they don't want to be pulled into it, or they have a different side of the story. And it's just like, you guys are shit friends. Like, oh, it is so disgusting. Sorry. I ramble, but I kind of been watching some stuff unfold, and
yeah, it's a shit show on both sides. I think, and it's like I think the talent. I think they overvalue their importance. You know,
oh,
in what they
do
do.
they?
You know what I'm saying? It's just like they're. I don't think that if Monica Rial bumped into me at the supermarket, I would know who the fuck she was. I would have no idea.
Yeah,
She's not a
and
public
that's
figure. That's kind of the idea. I mean, if Tom Cruise bumps into me, I know who that. I know who Tom Cruise is, right? I know who
Yeah,
Angelina Jolie or somebody like that. Somebody famous, actually, really famous, not interwebs famous, or anime famous.
yeah,
Go ahead.
and that's the thing. I didn't know who any of these people were. Like I even know, and this sounds terrible. I'm not in the anime sphere. I don't follow the voice actors, and like I'm not a big weeb or internet nut, or excuse me, anime nut. So I didn't even. I had to go and search through like the voices of Vic Mañana did, and I recognized a few of them. I was like, oh, okay. But yeah, I didn't know who Monica Rial is, or Chris Sabat, or Sean Schemmel, or freaking Jamie Markey. I was like, who the hell are these people?
Right.
So I had to learn all the names, and it's just like, wow, you people suck. Not Vic, but it's just like you people are shit. I wouldn't want to get to know you. Like,
Yeah.
wow.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it is, and it just, God, it is so amazing how much stuff can go to someone's head. I mean, it really freaking is. Like, you guys aren't going to be in these voices forever.
I
You
really,
guys aren't going to be these characters forever.
I have a theory. I think that social media plays such a huge role in this stuff, and I really do think that the AI algorithms are geared towards creating conflict because an angry person is more engaged with the social media than a person that's not angry. And there's been studies and stuff that have talked about this persuasion models and things like that with the
The
AI.
e- well, the easiest way to manipulate someone to keep them riled is to keep feeding them media that pulls on the heartstrings. Give you an
Mm-hmm.
example, and I know we're going a little over the time
Oh,
that you
we're
wanted to
fine,
go
man.
to.
We got plenty of time.
Is that, take for example the situation at the border. I don't know how everybody feels about it. I'm not going to go into it, but when every time, like, cause every piece that has come out, oh, another child has died at the border, or another person has died within the custody of the border patrol in these so-called concentration camps. And like every article I've gone and read, there's a small section that always gets glossed over, how they explain how the person got there. Like I'll give an example. The last article I read about somebody dying at the border facility or lacking medical care was a young pregnant woman. She was 8 months pregnant when she went. I believe she left Mexico because she was in Mexico. 8 months pregnant. She made the journey across the freaking water, whatever body of water, and she went into the. She got caught, and so it talks about how there is a lack of medical supplies or medical attention because she had a C-section or whatnot. I forget all the details. She was 8 months pregnant when she made the journey, and then she had to get a C-section. She was given like very little painkillers, and it's like, okay, first off, and they want to put that on board of patrol, and it's like, first off, if you look at the history of the facilities, because it's also mentioned this in the same freaking article, the article was self-defeating, is that originally the facilities down at the border were made for only single men, illegals, men who came over. And so that in itself, because it talked about also in the same article how down at the border they're overwhelmed. They don't have the resources needed to process all these people, especially women and children. And so, like, well, it's you have lawyers involved who speak for these illegals or whatnot, and it's just like, well, they're horrible. It's like, well, they're overwhelmed and overtaxed, and you guys want to pour in more people, and you want to demonize them. You want to get rid of ICE and Border Patrol, but you guys just want to paint the story to where it pulls on people's heartstrings and manipulate them with their emotions instead of telling, like, hey, here's the facts. They're overwhelmed. They're overtaxed. These are originally built for single men, but now we need more resources down here. We need to do this properly. But the people are screaming and crying about these quote-unquote concentration camps. They want to let everybody in. Nobody's illegal. We should have open borders. And it's just like, no, that's not how that works. If that's how you feel, take off your front door. Don't ever get a wall or fence around your house. A perfect example. Is like they're going to show just how bad ICE is. Oh, they're tearing apart families. And I love this because there was Oscar Cortez just got freaking ground pounded at a hearing by the
I
previous
saw
director.
that, man.
Yes, and he brought this up. He goes, when I pull over, say if I was a cop, this is what the police do. Say if the cop pulls over a car and then it's like a father and two children, and if that father has a warrant out for his arrest or murder or whatever, when people are arrested here in America for illegal doing crimes or whatever, the children are taken away and separated. You have people come out here illegally, and we treat those illegals the same way we treat our criminals, meaning we separate the children. And also, another thing people don't want to take into consideration or talk about is the children that are coming up with these adults are not always the children.
Yeah.
The parents that have it are not always the parents. We had, what was it? They try to install a swab test to make sure that the child and the adult were related, but people are like, oh no, that's wrong. Like, no, we have coyotes. Oakland, California, there was a house full of smugglers and human traffickers. There was an article that just came out, and they had interviewed a church of Mexico near the border to where you have people coming by offering to buy children so they can cross the border, because then if they have a child, it's going to be easier to get in because they're going to be treated like a family unit. And it's like, you guys, again, manipulation by emotion. They're not the Democrats. All they care about, again, votes. How, like, even Hillary Clinton's quoted, the best voters are dumb. If we could keep the people dumb, I'm paraphrasing here, but it's easier for them to get to vote for us. So if you lead people solely by emotion and not like try to blur out like all the facts, you can get some work done, but in the long run, it's gonna like cost you. And that's what's been going on with a lot of different situations. Even this Vic Mañana thing. Oh, well, you're just trying to silence victims. Nah. Well, why would a bunch of people be seeing the same thing? It's like, it's called, number one, mom mentality. Number two, the Brett Kavanaugh situation. Number three, you have victims / survivors, myself included, on the I stand with Vic's side, and we're telling you that you're full of shit, and your behavior does not add up. And the fact that you're now coming out with this 30 years later, and you're just now talking about it, or you're just now giving speech to it? No, you guys are so full of shit. No police reports, no nothing. No. That's not how that works. You're full of crap. So, I mean, I could go on, but yeah. Easiest way to rule people is with emotions and lack of facts and logic.
Exactly. You take away their ability to reason and just attack their fifis and just you got they're like clay. It's interesting. It's propaganda. You know, is that one of the main elements of propaganda is emotion manipulation. So, all right. Talking about what we do here, because I know that you do a show with Ichabod and with Miss Steam. You want to talk about that show for a second?
So that show started off. I didn't have co-hosts at the beginning. I believe I started to officially stream last October. It was either August. I started to stream last year, and originally the stream was called Fireside Chat. And I wanted to try my hand on it because I had watched a lot of the Kumite, the Cunt stream, a few of these others, and like to see how their formats were, and so I wanted to try my hand at it. Well, there was already something called Fireside Chat and had to do with one of the old presidents. I forget which one. It wasn't Roosevelt, but one of our presidents had
Jimmy
something
Carter.
called Fireside.
Jimmy Carter.
Yeah, and so I'm going like, oh, I don't want to get confused for an old presidential radio show, so we need to change it. So I did By the Hearth.
Yeah, the original was FDR, and then Jimmy Carter did it in the 70s as kind of like back then it was a conserve energy thing. So it was like, you know, turn your thermostat down to 68 in the winter and, you know, to 70, I think it was 76 in the summer. Yeah, and that was part of his deal. It was like, you know, we're saving energy, burning fire in the fireplace. you know.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's sort of like it said, fireside chat, a punch in the name, and went like, oh crap, I gotta come up with something else because no, I don't want to get mixed up for something else completely different. So I came up with By the Hearth, and I started with my format more like a good example of I saw like the switching scenes. Like if OBS, you have multiple scenes, like you have a presentation if you want to read an article, you have another scene if you just want to talk with everybody and have who you're talking to show up and the theme of your stream. So I got that idea from Tipster Gaming. So I saw a little bit how he did. It's like, well, how the frick does he do that? And so I played with it a bit more, and then I realized having me talk by myself all the time is probably freaking boring as hell. So it's like I need a co-host to bounce stuff off of because
Me too.
so I put a thing out for it, and only 2 people responded. One was Ichabod, and another one was another guy who never showed up, or we lost contact. So me and Ichabod, I think, hit it off pretty well. And he started to appear more and more, and so.
He's a great
Um,
guy.
oh yeah, no, I very much like have him as a co-host, and he seems to be an all-around good dude.
Yeah.
So, but for a time, he kind of backed off, and he said it was due to medical stuff. And I'm not like shit talking him, but we had a conversation, and he goes, "Well, sometimes you phrase stuff in, like the nastiest of ways, and sometimes my phrasing can get me into trouble." So he's just like, I didn't want to be mean. I'm like, no, you need to tell me if I'm causing you issues because, yeah. So we've had some good thoughts. Go ahead.
Right. I was going to say that kind of goes with the Asperger's thing. Sometimes it's like Uzi's. Like I said, has you guys are a lot alike, and I know exactly what you're talking about. You know.
Yeah, It's actually kind of. It's actually kind of interesting because he showed me something. I'm not gonna say what it is because I don't know if he's actually shown this on his channel or to other people. But I will say he has symbolism which is very similar to my chambers, but he uses something completely different. And I just, because like when he was showing me this stuff, I'm like, holy shit. So yeah, it's actually a little bit freaky, but it's actually kind of cool. So and then when he kind of backed away, I brought on Miss Steam, or because she had offered to be a co-host, and so now I have 2 co-hosts, and like you'll see their icons on my main stream scene or whatnot. But they're both good people. They're very different from each other. They're a good mix. Steam is a little bit more quiet and shy, but I think she's gotten better at projecting her voice. I still every now and then, if we have like multiple people on and she tries to say something, she'll make a small noise, and I'm like, "Hey guys, shut up! Miss Steam is trying to say something."
Yeah. I've
So,
I really don't know her that well, but I've been in streams with her before. Yeah.
yeah.
So let's see. All right. So what is your favorite thing about being on YouTube?
I would have to say, like, it allows people to express themselves. I know for me, when I first started, I was bad at expressing my emotion through my voice. Like, I got told by a lot of people that I was monotone. My video quality sucked. My mic quality sucked. My artwork back then was not where it was or where it is now. And granted, I'm still learning. If you're an artist, you're always going to be learning. I mean, there's always going to be someone better, but I've been able to develop my particular style a lot better, and I've learned how to use the new technologies come out, like OBS, Discord, better customization, and I've been able, thanks to like my practice with videos, I've been able to articulate myself better, express myself better. I'm still learning how to present myself or present a certain topic or whatnot a lot better, the way that I phrase it while still giving the same message as I would being very blunt and not really caring who I offend. But I feel like I've been just, I don't know, kind of grown on here a little bit, just with my overall expression of myself, been able to get like feedback. And I've told people YouTube is not my bread and butter, it's more of a hobby. But it has, because I do face videos. I used to do more avatar videos, but the editing, it just kind of killed me because of my own laptop. And now I do face videos. I feel it's like more personal. You can see my face, you can see my expression. It's not scripted. So I feel like I can present myself a lot better, and it's actually helped me. I have a new job, which actually required video recorded interview, and I think my experience with doing videos actually helped me get the job. So it's like, yay, I've gotten better at this.
I would imagine so. Yeah, cool. Well, congrats.
So, thank you.
Cool.
But yeah, overall, it's helped with my artwork, presentation skills, because like obviously when you're doing facial videos, there's certain things like you don't pick your nose, you have to look directly at the camera, you just
Right.
it's helped me learn a lot of stuff.
Right.
So
I totally get it. There's a lot of reasons I don't do camera. That's one of them, for sure. So what's your least favorite thing about YouTube?
I would have to say the overall change. A few years ago, as I noticed that more of the mainstream media was being allowed on, which I'm not saying they can't have their own channels, but it kind of took away the personality of YouTube. But like, it used to be about the creators. It used to be about, hey, I used to see more animation channels. I used to see more gaming channels, more art channels. Well, ever since the mainstream media kind of came in, Jimmy Kimmel, CNN, Fox News, NBC, ABC, you now have YouTube doing its own shows for YouTube Red. Ugh. So ever since YouTube tried to become more like cable, which that was its unique property back then, it was nothing like cable. You could come here, yeah, you could come here and get a variety of ideas, media, music, whatever. But now it's becoming more like cable, and you have the mainstream media trying to come onto here, and it's just like, and recently with Project Veritas, what their goal was, it's like, you know what, the site altogether may look better from a professional point, but it used to be where you could even customize your own YouTube channel. They had something called Panda channels, and if you guys were around in like 2011, 2012, they had it to where you could customize and make your own YouTube channel background. It's almost like a customized border, and a lot of us did it.
Oh,
And
kind
they
of like a
took that
MySpace?
away.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, and they took that away, and like when they started to combine or allow the mainstream media in, YouTube and Google used to be separate. Like you would have to sign into your YouTube separately from your Gmail. Well, the first step towards like combining it was Google Plus, and that's, I believe, when Google bought out YouTube, and then you had Google Plus combined with the YouTube channel. So it just, I hate how mainstream it's become. I understand that you have to like adapt or die, but it's just, I don't know. It used to be a lot more fun site, but it just, they're biased towards a lot of stuff, and freaking Google forbid you talk about anything controversial on your own damn channel.
Well, is there anything? Are there any YouTubers that you like don't get that they're vastly overrated, and you have no idea why?
Overrated channels. On the top of my head, I can't think of any. I mean, I know there's specific genres that I stay far away from, and they're actually drama channels. One of them used to be Leafy is Here, because I did watch some of his stuff, and it overrated. I used to think Keemstar was overrated for a while, and I know he's currently under fire for the what is that? Atika situation. There's a lot of channels. There's too much drama, but it gets clicked. And it's like, this is just overrated. This is so mentally fatiguing. What's some other channels? I honestly, the channels that I watch, that I will actually go through back to my subscriptions and find,
Hmm.
I don't I don't think it, like I said, I don't think I have an overrated channel in mind that I
What
will
about
personally go out of
uh,
to
what,
watch.
what about somebody that you think's criminally undersubscribed? That you think is really somebody that you think's really talented and you think should have like a load more, subs and views than they're getting.
Um, what is her name? She does paintings. It's a live painting, and I wish I remember her name. There's like so many artists and painters and crafts people that I follow here on YouTube,
Hmm.
but she doesn't have that many subs or interactions on Facebook when she posts like the photos. Let me actually see, because I have my thing open. It's hard to say. I would say a lot of channels I've seen kind of get stunted or not grow so much anymore, due to various reasons. Like you have Irate Bear, he's actually tried to branch out in a lot of different genres and stuff, and I think he's horribly underrated. He's an all-around good guy, does good content, stays out of a lot of the garbage that goes on. Generally a good dude. I think he's underrated. Um, let's see, what's another one here? I'm trying to find an art one that I do. I know there's like so many, and I think it's partly director, marketer is another one. And I think that has to do with the algorithms. Like if you're a small channel and you try to get into politics,
Yeah.
you're gonna get snuffed. There's no way in hell YouTube is gonna let you grow. Um, and even I've noticed that, like, and it's really irritating. Anytime I do clips of Nick's stream, anytime I cover something that's drama related, or I do a video on the Vic Maniana stuff, and back then it was the Daddy of Five, it gets the views. And those are the videos I choose not to monetize because it has to do with a situation that's very heavy in nature, sexual allegations, rape, all that nasty stuff, or abuse, and I refuse to monetize those because I don't feel right about doing it. But when I do like personal pieces, say like a speed paint, a poem, a situation I feel like I really want to cover and can bring more context to or whatnot, those videos don't get hardly any views. I mean, I have like over 3,000 subs, but I get like at max, I don't know, 70 videos, or excuse me, 70 views, or if I'm lucky, over 100, and it's nothing compared to my sub count. And it is so frustrating because those are the things that I take time, and it takes nothing to clip a freaking um, video or stream. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, and they keep what's going on too is they keep pushing the subscription thing. Like I will get a notification every time I log into YouTube now on my computer. Hey, you can listen to music for try it free for 1 month, listening to music offline. Subscribe for 1 month at a low rate or whatnot for YouTube Red or whatever. And I keep telling people is like they're going to push this for a while, and then they're going to get to a point where they're going to force subscriptions where certain things are going to be disabled. It's not there yet because right now YouTube, Google overall has failed, and I think its initial project being by is trying to stifle silence. They've gotten to a lot of hot water recently, and I can't remember what happened. Google has lost 70, I believe it's $70 million thanks to YouTube.
Mm.
Um, so they're not able to push the full subscription thing yet, but because they keep pushing it, like I see it every time I log into YouTube now, and I keep telling people it's gonna get to a point to where you're not gonna be able to do certain things unless you have a subscription, a paid subscription. It happened with DeviantArt. I used to be on DeviantArt. Basic things you used to be able to do was go in there and see artwork from like the past 24 hours or go back a few years. You can't do that now unless you have Core. So it's just like, it's going to get to that point and it's going to suck when it does. But right now they're unable to because of what's been going on and how unstable it's become. Because if they push subscriptions, they know they're going to have an exodus to where people are legitimately going to go elsewhere. Right. We've seen it with Patreon. We've seen it with other platforms.
Well, and right now we're broadcasting to Twitch, DLive, and Facebook, right? In addition to YouTube, because I'm starting already to do that, and I'm upping stuff to BitChute, the streams, which is mostly what I do. So, have you tried to restream yet? And hit the multiple platforms, just to, I don't know, just prepare. That's what I'm trying to do.
Not yet. I opened up a DLive. I had a Streamy, which I was trying to get ready to play with, and the Streamy kind of got brought offline due to the political crap going on with it and the family being threatened. And I heard there were some other issues going on with the site itself overall. But I have not tried to stream on multiple platforms. First off, because my internet wasn't all that great, but I have yet to kind of play with it and mess with it. Because I believe the program that it requires to do so costs money, and it's just like, I don't want to have a subscription to anything. I mean, some of the programs I use is kind of already invasive enough, and it's just like, I don't want to kind of spiderweb everything to where if one thing crashes, it's going to tear everything else down.
Right.
So I'm trying not to interweave my social profiles or things to a certain point. I'm just like, that's too much.
There's so many. My God. There's Gab and Minds and, Facebook and Twitter. And it's on and on and on. Well, is there anything that we haven't talked about that you wanted to talk about before we wrap up? Because I told you it'd go fast. Yeah. This has been a great conversation so far.
Oh no, it definitely has.
And if you want to keep going, we can. So it's your shot, your call.
Well, unfortunately, I'm not able to because I was supposed to do something at 5, and I'm kind of half an hour over. I have someone else waiting on me now.
Okay.
No, it's not your fault. They're preoccupied at the moment. But no, overall, I don't know, my channel's just kind of off the wall. I'm actually getting ready to kind of step away and take a break because, like I said, I just got a new job. I won't start it for another, should be 2 weeks. 1 week, 1 to 2 weeks, and it's going to be full-time, so it's going to pull me away from my channel. It's going to pull me away from a lot of stuff because the hours itself it's not early in the morning, but it's also not late at night. And I'll do a video about it to update everybody, but cool. I think, it is. It's a job that, talking to my father earlier today, it's a job I wouldn't have been able to nail down when I was younger. So it's just like, yay for growth. But no, I think it's going to be good, and I think I've kind of been musing it over. I kind of feel burnt out here on YouTube, and I kind of feel like there isn't much. I'm not talking bad about my subscribers. I love my co-hosts. I'm grateful for the people that stay in my Discord server, things like that. But I kind of feel like at this point in time, YouTube is not offering so much personal growth for me anymore. And sometimes you got to step away from stuff to grow in other areas. So, and I think with this job, it's kind of high time to do that. I've been wanting to do that for a while.
Well, that sounds like, at this point, it's a wise choice. To gain some more experience, maybe outside of your comfort zone, help you get better perspective on, where you are with all this shit, in a couple of months, and then come back to it and be fresh too. That's a great idea.
I mean, and what sucks is I kind of have to step away from the Vic Banyana situation because I've been one of the main clippers of the streams, and it's just like, well, I can't I'm not going to be able to clip. Like, I'll clip it when it's live, but it's like I'm not going to have time to go back to like hours and hours of streams and clip particular stuff. So, and I feel bad. It's like I'm not abandoning the situation, but I
Well,
have to step away.
well,
Go ahead.
something I noticed on your channel, you had a really nice like clip from Nick Rekieta, like talking about libel and burden of proof in libel, and that was fascinating, right? Because the person has to, the victim, in quotes, has to prove that they were, impugned, and the other person has to prove that, that they were, it wasn't libel, it was, they were just being truthful, right? And then, so I thought it was really a good explanation. I probably
Oh yeah,
boomered
that
up
clip
better.
was. Yeah, no, that clip, that little snippet was brought out of nowhere because I think he was playing Phoenix Wright and he was answering a super chat. I'm going like, oh, this is a good bit to clip.
It is. It really was. Really, I'd say check out Chambers' channel. So, if you got anything coming up in the next week or two?
I'm going to have. I'm going to be streaming this Friday as usual. After that, I do not know what the stream schedule is going to be. I know I've already kind of had a conversation with my two co-hosts and told them that there's a possibility that I may have to step away from streaming. So if that does happen, we're going to try to push his show more, which is Citrus Quest or Citrus Answers. If you guys want an example of that, of like the Citrus Answers, there is a clip on my YouTube channel called Citrus Questions, Mocha, and Chambers, and that's an example of what he likes to do on his own channel. And if you want to subscribe to him, his information is in the description of all my videos, him and Miss Steam. So I will be streaming this upcoming Friday. I'm going to be doing an update video of me having to step away. I feel kind of bad, but like I said, I need to grow in other places. And then if I'm not able to stream, we're going to be pushing his show, Citrus Quest, more when he can do it.
And it's like, and it just reasserts that it was a wise choice for me to ask you to do this at this point in time. So, we got the interview for posterity's sake, and I think it's a perfect. You're at a perfect pivot. This is nice. This is cool.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm not going to disappear entirely, but I'm not going to have the same activity, obviously, with a full-time job, so.
It can be very frustrating, so just trust me on that one. I know from personal experience. But what we're going to do, I guess, right now is go ahead and wrap up. Everybody, I do want to thank y'all, the chat, for coming out. I usually chat directly to the chat a little bit more. I'll go ahead and say some howdies to Maddie, Man Woman News Media, who's Toya ain't nice. I think Toya is nice.
Oh, right? Yes, her too. Maddie the News Chick, yes, I very much like her. So
yeah, Maddie's
I
awesome.
actually got to meet. Yeah, no, I got to meet her and Ronan in person last year because her and her hubby actually shut down. Her hubby's a truck driver just like mine. They shut down like half an hour from my place. I'm like, yeah, I'll come out and meet you.
Killer. Well, cool. And all right, so this time next week, across the screen from me will be none other than Sophane, with his spiky glasses and his sass. So we're going to get into it a little bit and find out more about him. He and I have talked before, so he's a really good guy, and I think we'll have a good time. I've had a ball talking today. Let's see. On Wednesday instead of Thursday this week, though, Big Fat Brian and I will be doing hot takes because Brian has a flight the next day, and we're going to be looking at the Netflix Bob Lazar video, and we're going to couple it with the Joe Rogan interview of Bob Lazar and the guy that did the video. So I don't know what this thing's going to look like, but it's definitely going to be interesting and opinionated. It's usually this kind of stuff that gets the most hits for our show. Flat Earth gets like 600, almost 700 hits, right? And doing a really good movie like the Hereditary, nobody watches. So you tell me. And next Friday, of course, Creem Stream number 90. More of that cringe to binge on. Chambers, go ahead and say goodbye to everybody because we're on the way out.
All right. Well, thanks for showing up, guys. Thank you, IRATE, for having me. This has actually been a good talk. I love having conversations like this. It's thoughtful, meaningful, and you get to know people better. So thank you very much for having me on.
I knew it would be excellent. I had no doubt in my mind. And on that note, Americana and Canadiana or whatever the fuck, and the rest of the world, wherever. This is IRATE Prostate saying I'm OUT for another week, and we'll see you this time next week with, like I said, So Famous.
Every week on Friday, 11 p.m. Eastern, the Creem Stream, the weekly world news for YouTube. Sundays, 5 p.m. Eastern, the Ice Cream Interviews, fascinating people, fascinating people. Thursdays, 9 p.m. Eastern, Hot Takes with the Butter Baron, watching horrible shit so you don't have to. Subscribe to IRATE Prostate now.